Good morning, everyone. This is Amit Kumar Singh, and welcome back to the quantitative finance session number two. Probably, I believe you have gone through my session number one. So, in session number one, I have started discussing the concept of corporate finance by using R. So, more or less, we have referred many books on quantitative finance, and we have referred many books on corporate finance like I. M. Pandey, Prasanna Chandra, and while going through these books we have learned many concepts of finance. Those concepts of finance we can easily implement on Excel. Either I talk about the concept of NPV, IIR, or duration, convexity, XIRR. More or less many functions we can implement on MS Excel, the concept of finance. If you want to go through the session where you can learn the concept of finance on MS Excel, you can watch my video on financial modeling using Excel by Amit Kumar Singh. You can watch that video to get an idea about how you can implement the logic of corporate finance on MS Excel. Though, although the idea of this session is not to talk about how you can implement the concept of corporate finance on MS Excel, the idea of this session is to implement how you can use the concept of corporate finance on R. So in order to work on R, you have lot of packages on R. So you can use those packages depending upon your requirement. So it depends upon the package to package. So normally when we work on normal distribution, we use different package. When we work on finance, we use different package. When we work on technical analysis, we work on different packages. So R, when we work on R, we have packages which are installed, so we just need to work on those packages. Normally, when I talk about uh, when I when I talk about quantitative finance, so if you want to study quantitative finance in R, we need to have a package called Life Contingency. So this package should be installed in our R. In order to install that package, we simply have to write install.package under double quote. We have to write Life Contingency, and then we can open that package through library, and then we can start working on R. I believe everyone knows how to work on R or how to install packages in R. So just a quick recap of how you can, 1 minute, how you can open packages in on R. So you just like, in case if you are watching this session first time and you don't know how to install R, so you just need to type in Google download R. So this is the latest version of R. Just go to the first link. So that is 4.00, that was launched on 29th February. You can just go through these links and you can install R and create a shortcut of that on your desktop. So you can see in my desktop. So if you can see in my desktop, so this latest version of R 4.0, this install. Although I have older version also, but so anyway, that is not so important. You can open and you can install any version of R. This probably when you open this, so you can have either you have 64-bit version of R, or you can have 32-bit version of R console. This is called R console, where you, if you open the name, what is visible is RGUI. GUI stand for graphical user interface. So you can use this interface to work on R. This is more or less is a R console window. If you want to remove this data, you can press Control L. Everything will be removed. You can save this like the way we work on other Excel document, other thing like that. So you can save this also. So you can do that. So you just need to do save workspace and you can save it. Or if you want to exit from this, Control up arrow, down arrow, you can do that. You can get removed from that. Or so once you install the R, then you can, after you install the R, then install R Studio. So I'll work on R Studio only. So download our studio. You go to the first link. So you go to the first link of this. So you can see this. So our studio desktop, and then you go with links one by one. You just need to follow the links, and you can open. You can install the R Studio. So I'll work on R Studio only. So this is the R Studio for you, and this is our quantitative finance session number two. Now, in order to work on basic quantitative finance, or whatever I'm going to teach you, and whatever I have done in the session number one, so that I have done on a package called Life Contingency. So Life Contingencies. So you can install this package. a live contingency. So if you already have installed, then no need to install that. Otherwise, live contingency. If you're using it first time, so this won't be visible for you. You have to write it completely. Make sure that you write with double quote and then just press enter. So this will get installed in your system. Now where I'm working on console window. So if when you open R, you'll get four windows. So the top left window is called source editor window. You can write it here also, any command. If you write any command here in source editor window, probably you have to press Control Enter. While the same thing you can do on console window. So I'll prefer more writing on console window. Whatever you're doing here, everything is history is recorded here. You can see the history here. Okay, so you can watch my video on statistics using R. So there you will learn basics on R if you want to learn. So if you want, you can do that. So I just remove this. So now once that is installed, then I'll go to library. I'll go to library, and library I'll write live contingencies. So now you can see this red color. So that this red color means the processing is happening. Now I'm ready to use this live contingency. So what I have done in the first session, just quick recap of what I had done in the first session. In the first session, we have started discussing the concept of compounding. So that concept of compounding, what you can learn by using the basic formula in maths called future value is equal to present value into 1 plus r percent to the power t. So this is the formula of corporate finance. This is the formula of time value of money in corporate finance. So this is the most basic formula. From this formula only, all the concept of corporate finance is derived. So future value is equal to present value into 1 plus r percent to the power t. So this is called interest rate. This is called as interest rate, or the same formula I can write future value is equal to present value into 1 minus discount percentage to the power minus t. So in the first session, I have discussed the two form of interest rate. Either they can be interest rate or either they can be discount rate. So when you talk of discount rate, discount percentage is nothing but r percent divided by 1 plus r percent. So imagine if I do plus minus, if I do plus minus to the numerator. So ultimately I can say discount percentage is equal to 1 minus 1 by 1 plus r percentage. So with this I can say that 1 by 1 plus r percentage equal to 1 minus discount percentage. So this is the relationship. This relationship I have used here to derive this relationship, which you can see here, either this formula or you can talk about this formula. So in order to convert the interest rate, in order to convert the interest rate into discount percentage, either to convert interest percentage into discount percentage. So what you can do in R, you can use this function called interest to discount. You can use this function called interest to discount, and there you can write that interest percentage. If you want to convert the discount percentage into interest percentage, you can use the function called discount to interest. You can use this function called discount to interest, and you'll get the answer. It's very simple. So this we have done in session number 1. So like suppose your interest rate, suppose your interest rate is 8%. So if you want to convert this interest rate into discount percentage, I'll use the formula called interest to discount, and in bracket I'll write 0.08. There's in R there's nothing called percentage sign, so you have to write decimal. So you'll get this value. You'll get this value. So the 8% you will get discount as 0.07407407. So this you can understand. So this relationship you can understand very easily. So if I the see so if your interest rate is 8%, if your interest rate is 8%, so your discount percentage is nothing but interest rate divided by 1 plus interest rate. So this you can, if I write this is 0.08 divided by 1.08. So if you want this value, if you use calculator, you can see this, you'll get the value. So or you can open MS Excel. open MS Excel. So discount percentage, you want to see discount percentage is equal to 0.08 divided by 1.08. You can see this 0.007407. The same thing what I got in R. You can easily understand. Now if I want to calculate the future value or something, so suppose my present value is 3,456 and my rate of interest is 6.5%. Okay, and the time is suppose maybe 5 year. So I want to know the future value. So I can do future value. I can do like this. I can use the formula, that is present value 3456 into 1 plus 6.5% is 0.065 to the power 5 year. You can do like this. So okay, 1 minute. So here this should be like this. So you can see this. So you got the value called 4735.02, or what you can do, you can convert this into discount percentage. So if you do that interest to discount, so interest to discount of 0.065. So you can do this. So this, whatever value you get, this should be -1. So 1 minus this value. So 1 minus this value. 1 minus this value. So 1 minus this value. Then 1 minus this value. Then you can to the power 1 minus this value to the power, time is 5 year. So this is 5 year. So time is 5 year, and the principal is, how much is your principal? Principal is 3456. So you got the same answer. So 4735.02. So you should know how to convert the interest rate into discount percentage, discount percentage into interest rate. If you know this well and good, you can do it very easily, or you can use Excel. All that doesn't matter. The basic idea is that you should understand how to work on. This 8% was 0.074. This was basically 0.074074, like this. So this was self-explanatory. Now going further, when you talk about the rate of interest, when you talk about rate of interest, so rate of interest, what is quoted per annum. Normally, whenever we go to the market, the rate of interest is quoted per annum. So that is called as normalized. That is called normalized rate of return. That is called as normalized rate of return. What is quoted per annum, that is called normalized rate of return. So if you go to the bank and ask how much interest will I get on deposit, so the bank will tell you, sir, the rate of interest what you will get on deposit. So the bank will tell you the rate of interest on deposit. Bank will tell you the rate of interest on deposit is 4% per annum. Per annum means every year they will give you 4%, but they will calculate the interest every day. They'll tell you 4% per annum, compounding every day. They'll tell you compounding every day. So the bank will tell you 4% per annum, which they will compound every day. So if there's a person called Mohan, suppose there's a person called Mohan, he deposited, suppose there's a person called Mohan, he deposited, suppose 1,000 rupees in a bank for 4 years. Some case I'm just telling you, for 4 years. So how much money will he get? How much money he'll get back? So he will get after 4 years. So suppose if I ask you this question, so there's a person called Mohan, he deposited 1,000 rupees in a bank, and the bank is offering him 4% per annum, which they compound every day. So how much interest, how much money will I get after 4 years? How much money the Mohan will get after 4 years? So amount is equal to principal into 1 plus 4% divided by 365. to the power 4 year, and every day they calculate the interest rate. So this much would be the money what the Mohan will get after 4 year. So you can do this in Excel, or you can do in R, you can do anything like this. So the principal is 1000 into 1 plus 4% divide by 365. So this to the power 4 into 365. 4 into 365. Okay, so 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 the Mohan will get 1173.5. So 1000 into 1 plus 4% divided by 65 to the power 4 by 365. He'll get this much money after 4 years. So the same thing you can do in R also. So for doing in R, what you have to do, guys, you have to understand this 4% per annum. You have to understand this 4% per annum. Sorry, rate of 4% per annum. When it is compounded every day, so every day you'll get 4% divided by 365 as the rate of interest. And you know that concept of compounding, interest on interest. So what you need to do, you have to convert, you have to find out, you have to convert this nominal, this you have to convert the nominal 4% per annum, nominal 4% per annum, compounded every day, compounded every day. So you have to find the value of this. You have to find the real rate of interest. You have to find the real interest rate per day. You have to find this value. So if you find this value, that is called as effective interest rate. So if you find this value, so if you can directly write then the formula that, sorry, 1000 rupees. So you can directly write down the formula. Principal is 1000 into 1 plus whatever the effective interest rate to the power 4. You do that, you will get the same answer. So that way, what you need to do, you have to convert this value. You have to convert nominal to real. Nominal to real. What is the rate of interest? 4%. 4%. uh, 4% nominal to real. Sorry. So interest rate is 4%, 0.04, and K would be 365 per day. Okay. And type would be immediate. You can write here immediate. So will that become more important for annuity and all? We'll discuss in annuity time this. So you get this rate of interest. So once you get this rate of interest, your principal was 1000 into 1000 into, so you can, if you want, you can write it direct. This so this is your rate of interest. So what I can do, I can open 1 plus, this is your rate of interest, 1 plus, this is your rate of interest. So 1 plus r percent to the power, how many year? 4 year, no? 4 year. So you can open one more bracket, close it. Okay, and this you are multiplying with 1000. So you'll get 1166.3. 1166.3. Here I'm getting different value. 1173 here I'm getting. 4 year, no, to the power 365. 1 minute. Let me just check it. This is 1 plus 4%. The rate of interest is 4%. 1 minute. Just let me check. This is 4%. 4%. Yeah, 365 immediate. Okay. So this should be 1 plus 4% divided by 365 to the power 365 to the power minus 1 minus 1 0.04081. Here I'm getting nominal to real. It should be 4%. Yeah, correct. So 4%, if it compounded, it should be more than 4%, can't be less than 4%. Nominal to real 4%. K is 365, right? 1 minute. 1 4%. 0.040808 Yeah. So that immediate thing we should not do. So 0.040840. Yeah, correct. So you should not consider that K. So if I use the same formula, so you can go with the same thing. Only thing you just remove here. So 1173.50. Correct. So I hope you understood this. So normally, if I talk about the relation, how to convert the nominal into real interest rate. So the formula of effective interest rate is 1 plus what you say normalized, what you say normalized over nominal, yeah, nominal interest rate divide by m to the power m. So 1 plus minus 1 into 100. This is the formula. So you can use this formula where what is m. So m for annually, the m will become 1. M for half yearly will become 2. M for quarterly will become 4. M for monthly will become 12. M for every day will become 365. N for every second will become 365 into 24 into 3600. So I hope everyone knows the formula. So the future value is equal to present value into 1 plus rate of interest, if that is per second, 365 into 24 into 3600 to the power 365 into 24 into 3600. So this is the thing. So now if the rate of interest is every second, so instead of using this formula, so we can use this formula called future value is equal to present value into e to the power RT. This is the formula what you can use. So E in R and all, you can use EXP for that. So you can use EXP for that. So same thing if you do in R. Now the same question. Now the same question if you do in R, suppose now same question if you do if this is the problem of continuous compounding means uh, means rate of interest is changing every second, exponential, that means exponential. So what you can use the formula called PV, present value, that is 3456 into e to the power r. R is zero point 0, r is 0.065 into t is 5. Okay, just check the bracket. So this would be your future value. So we have discussed this in the previous session, just a kind of revision for you. So I hope you are understanding. Now going ahead, we started discussing about this. Then we discussed about the concept of NPV and IRR. Then we discussed the concept of NPV. So when we talk about NPV, NPV stand for net present value. When we talk about NPV stand for net present value. So basically NPV is one of the very important parameter in capital budgeting decision. So in capital budgeting decision, whenever we talk about deciding the project, either to accept or either to reject the project, we normally prefer NPV over any other tools for capital budgeting. Either it is IIR or ARR or MIRR or payback or profitability index. So NPV is nothing but, in NPV we determine the sum of present value of our future cash flows we determine the sum of present value of future cash flow minus our initial investment. So based on that, we decide either to go with the project or not. So in order to determine the present value of a future cash flow, we discount the future cash flows with WACC. Okay, so you can, I believe you have gone through the books and all, and you know the formula of WACC. I don't think anyone having doubt on WACC. Is really that the debt really affect the WACC or the firm of the company. Many people say that leverage does not affect the company. Many people say that leverage yet affect the company. So for in order to do that, you can watch my videos on capital structure theories where I talked about hypothesis, proportion 1, proportion 2. I have talked about the comparison of hypothesis with the other capital structure theories models like operating income approach model or net income approach model. All that, how that they are relevant. Will the debt really affect the value of the company? Financial leverage, what is the relation between financial leverage and financial business leverage? All that you can go through and you'll understand in Excel. Although in Excel for NPV, there's a formula is there in Excel for NPV. So you can go through that formula to in Excel. If you write NPV, you have a formula to go through. You have formula of IRR in Excel, but in R we specifically don't have any command as such to work on NPV and all. So more or less, we prefer the concept of we use present value. Either we use this present value command in R. So if your cash flows are discontinuous, you can use the command present value, or if your cash flows are continuous, so if you want to determine the present value of the cash flow, you can use NUP command. So with that, you can easily solve the problem on NPV. For IRR, normally for IRR, we prefer to write a function. We prefer to write a function. Maybe we write a function like I believe you have, just let me go back to the history of showing you that I believe everyone done already that. So like this. So so we prefer to write function in IRR. So we prefer to write for doing IIR calculation. We write a function and then we do nonlinear minimization. So to get this value, so you can directly write here the estimate, this value estimate normally give you the value of IRR. So this is the problem. If you've seen my session number 1 video, you can easily understand what I'm talking about. So here we are talking about a scenario of a project which requires an initial investment of 700 rupees, and it is giving you 1000 rupees as a cash inflow after 2 years. So what is the IRR of the project? So you can get it by this way. So this all we have done in the previous session. So this all we have done. Then we have talked about after this. After this, we have talked about the concept of NUT and all. After that, we talked about the concept of NUT. In the concept of NUT, I started my discussion with a present value of NUT. So when you talk about NUT, what is NUT? NUT basically means when you pay or receive a same amount of money after every regular interval of time. That is called NUT. So when we talk about NUT, when you talk about NUT, in that if I talk about present value of NUT, so present value of NUT is nothing but NUT divided by a rate of interest into 1 plus rate of interest to the power t minus 1 divided by 1 plus rate of interest to the power t. So if you want the present value of NUT due, if you want the present value of NUT due, so the present value of NUT due is nothing but it is present value of NUT into 1 plus rate of interest. Similarly, if I talk about future value of annuity due, so the future value of annuity due will also be the future value of annuity into 1 plus rate of interest. So when we talk about future value of annuity, so the concept of future value of annuity is also called as sinking fund. It is also called as sinking fund. You can use the formula A divided by R percent into 1 plus R percent to the power T minus 1. So you can use this formula, future value of annuity and all. Normally, whenever the concept of annuity is there, in order to work on the present value of annuity, we use the concept of annuity. So annuity here, if you see I, what is I? So your I is 0.09, I is 0.09. Then N is what? Year is 5, comma. Then M is deferred. If there is a payment which get deferred, K means compounding. Type means you write immediate for annuity, immediate annuity. You write due for annuity due. Immediate means when you pay or receive at the end of the period. Due means when you pay or receive at the beginning of the period. Here in this problem, they're talking about immediate only. So write immediate. So by using this formula, you get the present value of annuity factor, multiply that with the value of annuity. Your value of annuity is 100. So you'll get this value. So these all we have discussed. So just a revision for you. So now when we talk about the important thing what we need to talk about is the future value of annuity. So whenever we talk about future value of annuity, so in R we use the formula called accumulated value. So we use the formula called accumulated value in R. So now suppose you want to do this question, what amount will it accumulate if I deposit 5,000 rupees at the beginning of each year? Means it is a problem of annuity due for the next 5 years. The rate of interest is 6% per annum. So if you use the formula of accumulated value, so the accumulated value will give you the annuity factor for the future value. You just need to enter, you'll get this value. This is the answer what you'll get. So this is the answer what we'll get. Now we can do more problems. We can do more problem like this. 1 minute. Let me go to that. Get the question. So we can do more problem. So suppose this is the problem. Suppose this is your problem. Control C. Suppose this is the problem. Control C. So let me paste it here. Let me paste it here. Now this is the problem I want to solve. A man want to save 1 lakh rupees to pay for his for the education of his son in 10 years. So how much he want? Future value of annuity. You want the future value of annuity, that is called sinking fund in accounts. That is 1 lakh. 5 zeros, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then time is 10 year. Then time is 10 year. Then for each year, pay for education. The education fund require investment to deposit annually at the end. So it is immediate. And the interest rate is 5%. And the rate of interest is 5%. How much the men need to save every year to meet his target? So this is the question. So in this question, the future value of annuity is given to you. The future value of annuity is given to you. That is 1 lakh. They're asking you the value of annuity. The rate of interest is 5%. So into 1.05 to the power. Time is 10 year minus 1. So time is 10 year. So you need to solve this. So in order to solve this, what I'll do, I'll find the value of annuity. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This I'll divide with the factor of annuity to get the value of annuity. So for that I'll use a formula called accumulated value. Accumulated value I is 5%, 0.05, comma N is 10 year, comma, N, K, no compounding, type is immediate, So now take care of brackets. Brackets are very important. This is the bracket what I close. This is the bracket I close. Press enter. You'll get the answer 7950.457. So if you deposit 7950.457 uh, for 10 years, so if it and that money if that money is compounding at the rate of 5% per annum, then probably after 10 years you'll get 1 lakh rupees. So you can do that. You can prove that in Excel. If you want, you can prove that in Excel. You can write the function called FB. So FB rate is 5%, 0.05. NPR is 10 year. PMT is how much? 7950.457. PV is 0. Type is 0. Type 0 for NUT, immediate NUT, 1 for NUTT. So see this, you got near about 1 lakh. 99,999.99. Okay, so this can just prove the concept. Now, so I've done this. Now we'll talk about arithmetically increasing or decreasing NUT. Now we'll talk about arithmetically increasing or decreasing NUT. So suppose you can see this problem. Okay. So you just clear this. I need to make this cell inactive. For that, press shift 3. Now read this question, everyone. Now, if you read this question, so in this question, it is given that the following payment are to be received. So $500, sorry, 500 rupees at the end of first year, 520 rupees at the end of second year, 540 rupees at the end of third year, like that. So that until the final payment is 800 rupees. So every time you're getting 500 rupees, 520, 540, like that. So you can see that they are in AP. If you see the difference, so the first time you got the payment of 500, then 520, then 540, then 560. So ultimate the last payment is 800. So if you want to find the time period, you can easily understand by using the concept of AP. So if you use the formula of AP, so the final payment is 800, initial payment is 500, difference is 20 into n minus 1. So you can easily find the value of n. So the value of n you will get is 16. So 300 divided 15 plus 1, you will get the value of n as 16. So probably you'll receive 800 rupees after 16th payment. Using the effective interest rate of 2%, determine the present value of this payment after at the time t. So they're asking you find the present value of this payment. So find the present value of this payment. So you're receiving this money. This money is year 1, 2, 3. So you're receiving this money, and the money you're receiving is 500, 520, 540. So Excel works on AP. So let me copy this. Now your rate of interest is 2% per annum. Your rate of interest is 2% per annum. So if you want, this all are the future value. This all are your future value. They're asking you the present value. How much will you receive? So if you want to do in Excel, the things will become very easy for you. If you're doing in Excel, so just fix the cell. That would be the constant. the time, this would be the present value. Similarly, you can copy this and find the present value for all 16 time period. And here, if you want the sum of that, if you want the sum of this, so you will get the sum as 8711.43. So this would be the sum of present value. So this would be very easy if you're working on Excel. But in R, this won't be that not that much easy, because you have to find the present value of the value which is increasing. They are not constant. Here the concept of NUT, how will you apply the concept of NUT here? How will you apply the concept of NUT here? So this is 500, then this is 520, then this is 540, then this is 560, then this is 580. You have to discount this till 800. So can I write this as 480 plus 20, the first one? Second one, can I write 480 plus 40? Third one, 480 plus 60. Similarly, the last one, because the concept of NUT you can apply only when you can apply only when the amount should be constant. So I wrote everything in the term of 480. So if you write in the term of 480, so this would be how much? Plus 320. So now the same sum will become 480 plus 480 till 16 time plus 20 plus 40 plus 60 till 16 time, that is 320. So like this. Now I can solve it very easily. If I want the present value of 480 till 16 time, if I want the sum of this, if present value of that by discounting it at 2% per annum, so I can use the concept of NUT in R. So if you use the concept of NUT in R, I would be 2%, and N it will ask you, N would be 16, and after 16 it will ask you the type. So the type would be immediate, no, beginning, end only, no. So they are received at the end, so the type would be immediate. So if you do that in R, this part will be done. Now this part will be done very easily in R. Now what about this? 20 plus 40 plus 60 till 320 in R? How will you do that? So for doing that, we'll use there's a function in R that is called increasing NUT. So we use the function called increasing NUT. So if the value is increasing with the difference, when we use the concept of increasing NUT, which is very important, this means the same value difference should be same. It means A and D should be same whenever you use the concept of increasing NUT. So in the case of increasing NUT, your initial value and the difference all should be same. So that then only you can use the concept of increasing NUT in R. So increasing NUT, if you use the concept, then the same value you have to use. So increasing NUT, same value, I would be 2% and N would be 16, and type would be immediate, and this will multiply with 20, because 20 is your value of A, and you'll get the answer very easily. So the same thing if you want to do in R. So in R, if you want to do the same thing in R, you will get the NUT. Here the NUT is equal to I is 2%, 0.02, comma, N is 16, comma, type would be immediate, plus increasing NUT, again I would be 0.02, comma, N would be 16, comma, type would be immediate, this multiply with that the difference, that starting value, that is 2020. Plus you'll get the answer. If you press, you'll get the answer. 1 minute. Okay. Acha, so this was 480. No, sorry. So this was supposed to multiply with 480. Hmm. So 480 into 480. This value, what you'll get, you're multiplying with 480. So this will close this bracket. This will close this bracket. Will close this bracket. 480. No? 480. And here, see the bracket. 8711.431. So brackets are very important. I hope you understood this problem. So very easy. Now imagine if I ask you this. Imagine same thing. If you're using in R, imagine if you wanted the same problem that of like suppose the same thing like this. If you wanted to determine the future value, imagine if you wanted to determine the future value of increasing annuity, if you wanted the future value of increasing annuity, suppose you wanted the future value of increasing annuity compounding at 2% per annum, compounding suppose at 2% per annum. Same question. So 500, then 520, then 540, then 560 till 800 if you wanted this. So again, you would have written this as 480 plus 20. Again, 500 you can write as 480 plus 20. This would be 480 plus 40. This would be 480 plus 60. So like this would be 480 plus 320. So you could do this. And when you did this, if you now this should be compounded at 2% per annum. So this you can write this is nothing but 480 plus 480 plus 480 till 16 times, compounding at 20%, compounding at 2%, compounding at 2% plus this would be 20 plus 40 plus 60 till 320 compounding at 2%. You wanted this value compounding at 2%. If you wanted this value, so if you wanted this value, so you know this to do this probably in R to if you want to work on this. So 480, 480, 480. If you want to compound it for 16 times, you use the formula called accumulated value. You use the formula called accumulated value. If you use the formula called accumulated value, so here the I would be 0.02, I would be 0.02, and n would be 16, n would be 16, and type would be immediate, and type would be immediate. This will multiply, this will multiply with 480. Okay, and then what you do for this, so when it was discounting, you use the formula called uh, when it was discounting 20 20 20 40 60 80, when it was discounting at 2% per annum, you use increasing annuity function, while for compounding you use ISN function. While for compounding you use the function called ISN. You use the function called ISN. So ISN is the function what you need to use for compounding. Again, if you type ISN, so again I will be 0.02, and n would be 16, and the type would be immediate, and the type would be immediate, and the type would be immediate. this you will multiply with 20. So for when it was decreasing, so when it was decreasing, when it was decreasing, you use increasing NUT function. When it is compounding, you use ISN function. Same thing. So if you want to determine the future value, if you want to determine the future value of increasing or decreasing NUT, increasing or decreasing NUT, same problem, and same problem I'm doing. So we use accumulated value I equal to 0.02 comma n equal to 16 comma type would be immediate, type would be immediate, type would be immediate. This value will multiply with 480. This value will multiply with 480. This value will multiply with 480 plus what is that value? That value is 20. 20 into open bracket ISN, then I equal to 0.02 comma n equal to 16 comma type is equal to immediate, type is equal to immediate. Now just see the brackets. So first bracket, second bracket, third bracket, enter. You'll get 11,958.93. So this would be the accumulated value. So the future value. Imagine if you are paying suppose 500, 540, 500, 500 after first year, 520 after second year, 540 after third year, 560 after fourth year, till 800 rupees, and your money is compounding at suppose at 2% per annum, something like that. So how much you will get after maybe 16 year? This would be the value what you will get. So uh, so this same thing I have shown you here. Same thing I have shown you through R and all. So same thing I have shown you through R. If you want to do the same thing in Excel, you can do the same thing in Excel also. If you want, this is suppose this is present value. So if you want to determine the future value, so this would be 500 into 1 plus 2%, 1 plus 2%. This will compound for how many years? 16 period is there. 16 minus 1. You can see 11958. 11958.93. You can see this. Okay, the same answer what I got. Okay, so I hope you understood this. Now what to discuss after this? Now NUT is growing at geometric progression. So if your NUTs are growing at geometric progression, then how to do that kind of problem? Just see this problem, everyone. Read this problem. So if you see in this problem, an annual annuity due pay $1 at the beginning of first year. Beginning is given, so means this is a problem of annuity due at the beginning of 1 year. Each subsequent payment is 5% greater than the preceding payment. So whatever is your rate of interest first time, then the second rate of interest is 1.05. Okay, so 5% every time it is more. So 5%, 5%. Then next time it would be 10.25%. So this is the previous problem what you have done. There the annuity was growing at the AP. Here your annuity is growing at GP, where your GP is 5%, and the here and this is a problem of annuity due. This is the problem of annuity due. So this is the problem of annuity due. This is a problem of annuity due here. And here the last payment is the beginning of 10th year. So n is equal to 10. Here n is equal to 10 and your annuity is $1. Your annuity is $1. Rate of interest. So your rate of interest is 4%. Your rate of interest, sorry, here you can look like this. So suppose your rate of interest I'm representing with the symbol I, that is 4% per annum, and the GP, the ratio, GP means when the number increase with constant ratio. So here the GP is 5%. So that is 5%. So the here R is for GP. That GP is 5%. So normally whenever your annuity grow at geometric progression, if your annuity grow at geometric progression, so what we do, we find this value. We find this value called J%. Think this as some kind of effective interest rate by using this formula called 1 plus I%, 1 plus I%, divide by 1 plus R% minus 1 into 100. With this, we find J%, where I would be your compounding value or discounting value. R would be the ratio of GP. So we use that, and if you use that, you are getting that J value as minus 0.95238. Once you get that value as minus 0.95238, so once you get that value, then here in this question, what you want, in this question, what you want, uh, in this question, what you want, the last payment, calculate the present value. So they're asking you the present value. So if you want the present value of annuity, if you want the present value of annuity, what function in R you'll use? You'll use the function called annuity function. If you want the future value of annuity, if you want the future value of annuity, what function will use in R? That is accumulated value. So because here they want the present value of annuity, so then you know the present value of annuity. So here what would be the I would be this value what you got, that 0.95238, and n would be the 10. And because this is the problem of annuity due, in type you write due and you press enter, you'll get the answer. Very simple. Now, going further, if I talk about deferred payment, I hope everyone understand the term called deferred. Deferred means postponed. My payment got postponed. So if you see this question, that calculate the, suppose this is the problem, that calculate, so suppose this is the question. So if I press enter, it will show me error. So if I solve this question, that calculate, suppose this is the question, that calculate the present value of annuity due that pays an annual amount of 1200 rupees for 12 year with first payment 2 years from now. Okay, the first payment I'm not getting after 1 year. I'll get this payment 2 years from now. Find the effect, and the annual effective interest rate is 6% per annum. So find the present value of annuity. You want the present value of annuity, so you use a function called annuity. If you wanted the future value of annuity, you use the function called accumulated value. So bracket open. So then I. So what is your I? Your I is 6%, 0.06, comma. Then n would be how many? 12 year, 12 year, comma. Then M we use for deferred. You can see here. You can see this M deferred period. So for how many period this M got deferred? That's the reason why I gave you this problem, just to discuss, like whenever your payment got postponed and or something, there you can use the concept of deferred. K we use when if that is compounding quarterly, yearly, something like that. So K does not make sense here. And the type, then type would be due because it deferred by 2 period into this, you can multiply with that, your annuity is 1200. So you got the answer, 9491.144. The same thing you would have done here if you type the due as immediate, if you type the due as immediate and M as 1. If you type the M as 1, you'll get the same answer. Why? Because I hope you can understand. I hope you can understand this, that Like suppose this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So here this means when you see this means when you see this means end of first year. This means the end of first year and the beginning of second year. This is called end of first year and the beginning of second year. So if I'm asking beginning, if the problem is beginning, they're talking beginning of every year, and they're talking about it differed by the beginning of 2 years. So if it differed by the beginning of 2 years, so normally if you talk about the compounding and all, so if that is the end of the compounding, then the value of m would be 1 only. Okay, because if you talk about immediate NUT, if you're talking about the concept of immediate NUT, if you're receiving or you're paying at the end of the period, so then there's an interval of only one period only. If you talk about beginning, then there's an interval of 2 periods. Clear, right? Now, talking about the next thing, if I talk about the pricing of bond, if I talking about the next thing, if I talk about the pricing of bond, if I'm talking about the pricing of bond, so when we talk about pricing of bond, what happens in the case of bond is a debt instrument. It is a secured debt instrument. So what happens in the case of bond, that there is a creditor who takes money from you, and then what he will do, he will get back that money to you. So the money what is borrowed, the money what is borrowed, the money what is borrowed, what is borrowed at the beginning of the time period, the money what is borrowed, that is called price of the bond. That is called price of the debt instrument. The money what is borrowed, it is called the price of the debt instrument. And the money what is paid back, and the money what is given back, and the money what is given back, that is called as the face value of the debt instrument. That is called the face value of the debt instrument. Now, depending upon the difference in the price and the face value, you can talk about a debt instrument. If the price is equal to face value, then the instrument is issued at par. If the price is more than the face value, then the instrument is issued at premium. If the price is less than the face value, then the instrument is issued at discount. Okay. Now, when we talk about the debt instrument, so normally when you talk about maybe not the money market instrument, then definitely all the instrument would be coupon based instrument. So the coupon is the interest what the creditor give to the investor after every regular interval of the time, and that coupon is calculated on the face value. So when we see that coupon based instrument, so as a investor, when you talk about the price, if you talk about the price, so there is a coupon what you get uh, after every regular interval of time. So there's a coupon what you get after every regular interval of time. To determine the present value of the coupon, we discount that coupon with cost of debt or YTM. YTM stand for ill till maturity. That is the minimum return what you can get. It's like a IRR. So that you can calculate the present value of the coupon. So this, and then at the end of the debt instrument, you get the face value. So then at the end of the debt instrument, you get the face value. So this is called as the price of the debt instrument. This is called as the price of the debt instrument. If you use the concept of present value of NUT, you can write the same thing as coupon divided by YTM. That is equal to 1 plus YTM to the power n minus 1 divided by 1 plus YTM to the power n. So this is the present value of NUT A by R plus the face value divided by 1 plus YTM to the power n. This formula you can use for the pricing of bond. You can use this formula to work on the price of the bond. So this is the formula what you can use. If you talk about the relation between price and YTM, if you talk about the relation between the price and the YTM, this graph is like this. This relation is called as convexity. We study this relation in convexity. Now talking about the graph, they're inversely related. So the price and YTM, price and the YTM, they are inversely proportional to each other. Okay. So to understand that relation and all, so suppose if I ask you one problem, suppose if I ask you this problem. Hmm. Hmm. Now solve this question, guys. Now suppose if I ask you this question. Now try to solve this question, everyone. Try to solve. Now, I hope you got the answer by this time. And if you got the answer, probably what should be the answer? If you're getting the answer around 91.50142, then it would be the correct answer. So let me write down the problem in R. So, so talking about pricing of bond. So pricing of bond. To talk about pricing of bond. This is the problem. So this is the problem. So a 5-year bond. Here you're talking about the problem on R, a 5-year bond. So the time is 5 year. The time is 5 year. Then the rate of interest is 3%. The rate of interest is 3% per annum. The rate of interest is 3% per annum, paid twice. So this is compounded half yearly. This is compounded half yearly. Okay, better hash compounded half yearly. Compounded half yearly. Then the par value. Par value means face value. The face value of the bond is 100 rupees. Okay, and find its price using 5% annual interest rate. So 3% coupon. This is coupon rate. This is not the interest rate. This is your coupon rate. This is your coupon rate, and your YTM. YTM is basically how much is your YTM? 5%. The YTM is basically 5% per annum. That these all problems happening because I've not made it inactive now. So in this problem, as you know that the coupon is calculated on face value. Face value is 100 rupees and rate of coupon is 3%. Means your coupon your coupon is rupees 3, and if you give twice, so it is 1.5. So it is 1.5 per half yearly. 1.5 per half yearly. This is 1.5 per half yearly. So now, if you want to solve this problem, how you can solve this problem? How you can solve this problem? So you can solve this problem by using the concept of NUT. If you understand the concept, you can use the concept of NUT. So if you use the concept of NUT here, so here, what is your I? I is what is your I? I is 5%. That is 0.05. That is your I. I is 5%. N is how many year? This is how many year? 5 year. N is 5 year. Then M not deferred. K would be 2 because this is half yearly. And then type. Then it type. Then type would be immediate. Then type would be immediate. Then type would be immediate. Now this, what you will do, this will multiply with 3 because 3 is your the coupon rate. So this will find the present value of this, and this will multiply with 3. So here I just use the concept of compounding. So now you hope you understood this. Now this plus now to find the value uh, to find the value present value of 100 rupees after 5 years. There you can use this 100. You can multiply the 100 with present value. Present value. B should be capital value, and here the cash flow. What is your cash flow? Your cash flow is 100. Your cash flow is 100, comma. Then time ID. Time ID means after 5 years. Then interest rate. Interest rate is 5%. 0.05. Interest rate is 5%. Probability. No need to write probability. You can ignore it. That's it. So this. Okay, this. Just see the brackets. Just see the brackets. Hmm. Hmm. Press enter. Sorry. NUT into 300 into okay 100 you've done 2 times. 100 already you're written, so don't multiply with 100 because you're finding the present value of that 100. That is 91.51, 91.50142. So you can do like this, or if you do in Excel, the same thing. You want to do in Excel the same thing. So in Excel, you can write periods. So how many? 5 year. So 10 period half yearly. So 1, 2. So if you want to simply write go 1 and go to fill, then series, then here write 10, 1 to 10. And you should be column wise. So 1 to 10 you got. So the future value is 1.5. Let me copy And here last you will get 100 plus 1.5 into 101.5. You can do this, and your rate of interest is how much? Your rate of interest? Rate of your interest was 5%, no? 5%, but it is compounded half yearly. So this would be 2.5% every compounding. Okay, and your present value. So then this would be 1.5 divided by 1 plus 2.5%. Then the power in this. Okay. So this you just copy. So now you just do the sum. This would be the price. So you do the sum of this all equal to 91.2479 you're getting. 91.2479, that is approximately same only. That was 100 plus 1, 101.5, 1.5, 1.5. 5 year, 10 period, 2.5, rate of interest was 5%. Okay, fine. Anyway, so this is same only. So you got price. Now, once you get the price, once you get the price, once you get the price, now once you get the price, what you can do, once you get the price, uh, you can find also the duration. So you can also find the duration as you see this formula. If you see this formula mathematically, you can say that the price and YTM are inversely proportional to each other. So normally, in order to determine the relation between the price and YTM, that when YTM will increase, the price will decrease. When the price will decrease, YTM will increase. You know that they are inversely related. So mathematically, many people think that the relationship is a linear relationship. So for that, that is determined by using our first order differentiation. So if you take the P is equal to C divided by 1 plus R percent, YTM writing R, so C divided by 1 plus R percent to the power 2 plus C divided by 1 plus R percent to the power 3 till C divided by 1 plus R percent to the power N. So till plus face value divided by 1 plus R percent to the power N. So if you do the differentiation of this dp of dr, so what you will get, I believe everyone knows the differentiation of d of dx of x to the power n is nx to the power n minus 1. So the same thing I'm using here. So if you do the differentiation of this, so you can write this as 1 plus r percent to the power minus 1. This is c into 1 plus r percent to the power minus 2. So c into 1 plus r percent to the power minus n plus face value into 1 plus r percent to the power minus n. So if you go ahead, if you do the differentiation of this dp by dr, so you'll get minus c 1 plus r percent to the power minus 2. This you'll get minus 2c 1 plus r percent to the power minus 3. Similarly, you'll get minus nc 1 plus r percent to the power minus n plus 1. So phase value also the same thing. So you can write this as dp by dr is equal to minus 1 by 1 plus r percent. If you take common, you will get c divided by 1 plus r percent plus 2c divided by 1 plus r percent square plus 3c divided by 1 plus r percent to the power cube. Similarly, you'll get nc divided by 1 plus r percent to the power n. So phase value, you can write phase value also. That will not bring any difference. Now, what is duration? So for this, if you divide this by p, 1 by p of dp of dr, so you'll get minus 1 by 1 plus r percent into c by 1 plus r percent plus 2c by 1 plus r percent square till nc by 1 plus r percent to the power n divide by p. So this what you get, this what you can see, this is called as Macaulay duration. This what you can see, this is called as maculae duration. This whatever I'm putting in highlighter, this you called as a maculae duration. Ultimately, this formula will become 1 by P of dP by dr is equal to 1 minus 1 by r% into maculae duration. This is called as maculae duration. So duration, in duration we study two things. One is called maculae duration, another one is called modified duration. And maculae duration divided by 1 plus r% and maculae duration divided by 1 plus r% is called as modified duration. Is called as modified duration. So in order to calculate that if what is the sensitiveness of the change in price with respect to the change in interest rate, you can use the formula minus of modified duration into P into dr. So this would be the mathematical formula. So this would be the mathematical formula. So by this mathematically you can calculate what would be the change in price if the interest rate changes by some basis point. So this way, if you know the value of modified duration, you know price, you know the change in interest rate. Like recently, the RBI decreased the repo rate from 4.4% to 4%. So if because the repo rate decreased by 40 basis point, definitely then the price of bond will increase by some value. So how much would be that increase, that you can calculate like this. But it was found that small change in interest rate will bring the inverse, simpler magnitude change in price, but larger change in interest rate will not bring that similar change in the price, because the relation between the price and the interest rate, because the relation between price and interest rate is not a straight line, it's not first order differentiation, it's not a linear. Ultimately this relation is a convex, and that we measured by using convexity. So in Excel you can see this. So the formula of this is the formula of convexity. So you can do that. So in R you can do all this calculation. In Excel if I do, it become very complicated. You can do in R these things very easily. So in R, if you want to do this kind of calculation, you can do very easily. So uh, in R, if you want to do, you can do it very easily. Suppose if I write this question in R, so calculation of duration and convexity. If I want to do in R, convexity. If I want to do in R, so you can do it very easily. Convex calculation. So you can do this very easily. So suppose same question. Okay, same question only. So suppose 5%. Suppose 5%. 10-year open paying bond is there whose YTM percentage is 10%. Suppose this is the problem. Suppose this is the problem. Okay, so in this problem, what would be your coupon? So okay, what face value? Take face value is 100 rupees, that I have not given here. So you can take face value as 100 rupees or 1000 rupees. Suppose the face value is 1000 rupees. Suppose your face value is 1000 rupees. Okay, so your coupon value would have been 50, then 5% of that. Okay, and then your coupon value would be 50, and then your YTM, your interest rate is 10% per annum, and the time is 10 years, and the N is 10 years. Okay, so if you want the price, you know how to do that. Now for duration, In order to calculate the duration in Excel, sorry, in R, we directly use the formula of duration. So you can write duration. So if you write duration, it will ask you cash flow. So what is your cash flow? So your cash flow is, so you can write repetitive, your cash flow is repeating. How much your cash flow is there? 50. Your cash flow is 50 uh, for how many time period? That is 9. Because on 10th, because on 10th period you are getting 1050. This is, so this is the cash flow. Okay, then time. What is your time? Uh, Time is for 10 year, no? 1 to 10 year. You can write 1 to 10 year. Then I. What is your I value? I is 10%, 0.1. Then K will not work. Here, if you want macula duration, write macula equal to true. If you want modified duration, write macula equal to false. After that, nothing else required. If you do this now if you do this, K you can write K equal to 1. K because it is annually. So if you press enter, you'll get the answer 7.66083. Very easy, you will get the answer. This is what you got. This is the macula duration. If you want modified duration, so in case of macula, write false. In case of macula, write false. You'll get this answer. Now, if you want convexity, do the same thing. If you want convexity, do the same thing. Convexity. So tab cash flow. Again in cash flow, you write C in bracket REP. REP means repetitive. That is 50, 9. Okay, then comma 1050. Comma time ID 1 to 10 year. Then I is equal to 0.1, comma that's it, and K is equal to 1. Annually you are doing. Close bracket, you will get the answer 63.39892. So this is the way how you can do. Let me see if I can change the data here. If I can get the answer. So bond price 1000, face value, coupon rate. How much was the coupon rate in this problem? Coupon rate was, for this problem, coupon rate was 5%. So let's try 5%. Okay, yield was 10%. Frequency 1. So bond price was 1000. Coupon rate was 5%. Life, what was the life? Life was 10 year. So you can see this, guys. You can see this. You can see macula duration. You got 7.66. So macula duration got 7.66. Then modified duration you got 6.96. This is 6.96. Convexity you got 63.398. This is 63 point. Similar. This becomes so easy. So I hope you understand. So if you do in Excel, it's very complicated to do all this calculation and all. Same thing if you use R, it becomes so easy for you to do these kind of calculation. That is the advantage what you will get. That advantage you will get. Now let's talk about EMI calculation. Suppose this is the question and you want to calculate the EMI. So EMI calculation, if you want to do EMI calculation in R, you want to do EMI calculation. Basically, when we talk about EMI, calculation, normally we use the concept of present value of annuity in EMI calculation. So the present value of annuity is annuity divided by rate of interest into 1 plus a rate of interest to the power t minus 1 divided by 1 plus rate of interest to the power t. Now, if you use this formula here, so this will become your present value of annuity will become your loan, your annuity will become EMI. This would be R percent divided by 12 because EMI you calculate every month. This would be 1 plus R percent divided by 12, 12 to the power 12t minus 1 divided by 1 plus R percent divided by 12, 12 to the power 12t. So if you use this formula, you will ultimately you can get the EMI, or in Excel if you just need to use PMT function. In Excel, if you use PMT function, in Excel if you use PMT function, you can do very easily. EMI it's very easy. It's very easy in Excel. So mm, let me just copy this question. So this is 10,000 loan. So your loan is of 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Loan is of 10,000. Rate of interest is 7%. Okay, and the time is 5 years. And the time is 5 years. So the same thing if you do in Excel. So same thing if you do in Excel, PMT is equal to rate. So let me do here. So EMI calculation in Excel, if you do equal to PMT, then what is your rate? Your rate is 7%. So divide by 12. Then your time period is 5 years into 12 monthly, comma PV present value means loan 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Future value 0, type 0. Enter, you'll get the EMI. That EMI is 198.01. So you can work on something called loan amortization schedule. You can work on loan amortization schedule. So to prove this figure 198, you can write 1 till 60. So you can fill, go to series column, and here stop value 60. So here your loan is 10,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your EMI, then your interest. This is called loan amortization. Then how much extra you paid. You are supposed to pay interest, but whenever you talk about loan and all, they follow amortizing debt instrument. So you pay EMI, which is more than the interest. Because you pay more than the interest, ultimately your principal will get reduced. So remaining principal. So EMI, you got this value. Now fix this value by pressing F4. Interest, how much is your interest? Interest is 7%. That is 0.07 divided by 12, because you're calculating monthly into your loan. This is your loan. And how much extra you paid? EMI minus interest. And your remaining principal, because you paid this much, your principal will decrease by this much. Now next time your loan will become this much. So your EMI remain constant. Interest you can calculate 7%, whatever is your loan. This is the extra you paid, and this remaining would be this. So you can do this. Just double click. So if you see after 60 period, so you can see your EMI will become 0. So this is very important. This is called loan amortization schedule. Now the same thing I'll do in R. Now the same thing I'll do in R. So this you learned in Excel. So now I'll do the same thing in R. Or to do the same thing in R. So in R, EMI, write a vector name called EMI. Your loan is 10,000, 1, 2, 3, 4. Divide by NUT. NUT. Your I is your 7%, 0.07. N is equal to 5 year. No? How many year? How many year loan? 5 year. Okay. The 5 year. Then M is nothing. K will be 12. Okay. And type will be immediate. And the type will be immediate. Immediate. Now see the brackets. 1 bracket, 2 bracket, 3 bracket. Divide by 12. Because per month you get the value. So if you see the EMI, same value what you got. Now you'll get the same value. I hope everyone understood this. Now, in order to write the, now I want to write the loan amortization schedule. We want to write the loan amortization schedule in R. So for that, just use this called remaining principal. There's a vector name I'm creating called remaining principal. That should be numeric, having 60 value because 5 year means 60. Okay. Then I'll create a vector called loan, and that should be also numeric. So what kind of, which all should be numeric, all you are putting numbers. Then you are creating something called EMI. There's a vector name called EMI. It should be numeric, having 60 values. Then you are creating something called interest. It should be numeric. It should be numeric, having 60 values. Then extra paid. It should be numeric, having 60 values. Okay. So all these are the vector names you have created, all these vector names. So let's test this vector, then only we can apply on all the value. So the loan for one period I'm testing. How much is the loan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10,000. Okay. What is your EMI? Your EMI, what is your EMI? So this is your EMI. This is your EMI. One brackets. It should be close bracket. This is your EMI. Then when you talk about interest, the interest should be, what should be your interest? Interest should be that 7%, 0.07, 0.07, 7% of 7% of the loan value, whatever is your loan. Now extra paid. What is your extra paid? That should be what is extra? That should be EMI. That should be EMI. What is the EMI is there? Minus your interest. Minus your interest. That is extra paid. Then remaining principal. So remaining principal is your loan minus extra paid. Loan minus extra paid. Now this I just wrote algorithm on one integer. Now I'll test this. So what is my loan? Loan is 10,000. Okay. What is my EMI? What is my EMI? This is my EMI. Okay, correct. what is my interest? This is my interest. Okay, correct only I'm getting. Now extra paid. So that should be EMI minus interest. Okay, correct. Then remaining principal. There should be 98, 10,000 minus 138. Okay, so these all we are getting correct. Okay, fine. Now I can write the function. So I can write the function for the remaining 62 to 60 variable for in for I is that integer I in 2 to 60 for I in 2 to 60, then curly bracket, don't close that curly bracket, so we are writing in between. I'll take my loan. So the loan what I get, that the loan what I'll get, the loan what I'll get, it should be should previous remaining principal for the previous time. So it should be remaining principal value. So remaining principal value, the previous value, remaining principal previous value. This should be my loan. Then after loan, what you write? EMI. No? So your EMI for EMI, just write down the same thing. So for my EMI, so my EMI, so my EMI would be this would be my the value of my EMI. Then my interest, then the value of my interest would be, then the value of my interest would be 0.07 by 12 of loan, whatever the loan you get. Then extra paid will be, extra paid would be the EMI minus EMI minus the interest. This would be your extra paid. Then your remaining principal, then your remaining principal, then your remaining principal would be, your remaining principal would be loan minus your extra paid. Close bracket. You got this. Once you get this, now you just need to create a data frame. So suppose data frame like loan amortization. This is a data frame I'm making. So data.frame. So inside the data frame, I'm just making a heading that loan time period, anyway it would be there, that would be loan. Then EMI would be EMI. So same thing, I want the heading. Here you get the heading. Then interest, you're getting interest. Then extra paid is equal to extra paid. Then remaining principal is equal to remaining principal is equal to remaining principal. See the brackets. Only one bracket is there. Data frame loan is equal to loan Okay. So loan amortization, data frame, loan equal to loan. So loan is equal to loan. Okay. Then EMI equal to EMI. Then interest is equal to interest. Then extra paid is equal to this. I'm just giving you a heading. Extra paid, comma, remaining principal is equal to remaining principal. You can see this loan amortization. You see this, you got this table. So you can see the same thing what you got in Excel, same thing I'm getting here. So you can see first your loan was 10,000. You paid the EMI of 196.99. Then this was your EMI, which already I calculated. So interest is 7% of 10,000, and you paid extra how much? You're supposed to pay 58, but you paid 196. So how much you paid extra? So because of which your remaining principal would be 10,000 minus 138. Yeah, 10,000 minus 138. This will become the principal for the next period. So the same thing what I did in same thing what I did in Excel, the same thing I'm getting here. This is your loan amortization schedule. You can see at the end of 60 period, so it will be close to zero. Here we are getting 72. It's close to zero. This is the what we are supposed to learn here. So guys, I hope you understood this session. So this is the next session. This was the second session on R by applying the concept on finance. So I applied the concept of finance on R to teach you how you can integrate both of them together, how you can find the union of R with respect to the corporate finance. And this is the output what I got. So that I presented in the two sessions. I hope you enjoyed this session. This was learning for you. More sessions like this I'll keep making. So keep following my session. Subscribe to my channel. Like this class, like this session if you enjoyed this session. And I hope you're sitting with R and book on finance. And I hope you had learned a lot from this session. So with that intention, I'll wind up this class. Thank you everyone. God bless you. Bye.